Class is in session. Yes. Welcome to another episode of I'm Tired of Seeing the Spread of Misinformation about Texas across the internet. We're still working on the name. I've gotten some good suggestions. I'm not sure if we quite got it yet, but I'm open to suggestions. Today's episode is on James Talarico and Miriam Adelson because I've seen a lot of shit about this on the internet. I have. So before we get into this, I'm going to provide you a reminder about this series. This particular kind of video where I'm fact checking is only factual information. I'm not providing commentary. Commentary videos will be separate. As of now, this is me simply giving you information, okay? That's it. The point of this series is to provide you a holistic picture as much as possible from every angle, no matter how it makes somebody look, so you can make decisions for yourself that are informed based off of factual information, okay? Because if these conversations are going to happen and everybody got opinions, I want everybody to be operating off of the same correct and credible information. Thank you. All right, so boom, this article, everybody and their mama talking about it. Yeah, because we've had this conversation come up again about Israel when it comes to James Talarico and Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett's been getting the brunt of it, but Miriam Adelson has come up for James Talarico. And this is particularly in the context of funding from Israel lobbyists. Okay, so that's where this is coming from. So the claims are that James has taken donations from Miriam Adelson, essentially meaning he's taken money from AIPAC without actually taking money from AIPAC, right? So for us to understand what is happening here, we have to understand who Miriam is, okay? So I got some notes here, so bear with me. Miriam Adelson is an Israeli-American. She's worth $40.8 billion. She's a widow of former CEO and chairman of Las Vegas Sands, which is a casino company. She bought the majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks in 2023 from Mark Cuban. She's a longtime GOP mega donor. Okay, her and her husband. Her husband did it since like Bush and shit like that. She just picked up the mantle when he passed away, and I think in 2021. And she was a top backer of Donald Trump. Since January of 2024, Adelson has put $13.2 million into two political action committees, or PACs. That would be the Texas Sands PAC and the Texas Defense PAC. The one that we are going to talk about in this video is the Texas Sands PAC. Now, remember, the name of the casino company is Las Vegas Sands, okay? That's where the Las Vegas Sands, Texas Sands PAC, there you go. So the donations that James Talarico received from Miriam Adelson did not come directly from Miriam Adelson. It came through the Texas Sands PAC. There's a reason why this matters. This matters because PACs typically serve as a way for donors to compile contributions and then use those contributions to push certain candidates into office, to lobby, to push certain ballot initiatives through, like legislation. It's usually to serve a particular interest of the contributors to that PAC. The interest for this PAC was gambling. It was the casinos. James Talarico, state representative, received $59,000 total from Texas Sands PAC, which is funded by Miriam Adelson. That was received from him in February and December of 2024, according to Politico and state records, which is here, these two, and here, if you need receipts. So just to make sure we're on the same page, this is a pro-gambling PAC that is giving money and donating to Talarico. Now, Miriam fought like hell to get casinos into Texas and to get gambling legalized in order to have those casinos. That is why the PAC exists to begin with. Now, you can read this article from Texas Monthly that gives a very detailed account of what happened. It gives also like some context as well about Texas and its history with gambling and stuff like that. So if you care to really get deep into it, this is helpful for a context that I can't fully cover in this video. But one key thing to know about this whole situation, particularly with this gambling fight to get it legalized in Texas, is this part right here. The right-wing activists and mega donors who stood in her way. You want to know who one of those was? This guy. Yes, Tim Dunn. You want to know who Tim Dunn is? He's a billionaire white Christian nationalist oil tycoon that is currently controlling Texas politics, along with another one, Ferris Wilks, which we'll get into in another video. Yeah, he ain't like this shit. So he was fighting it. So they was going back and forth. So this is where Talarico comes in, right? because we know that people are having an issue with this connection between Miriam, Adelson, and Talarico, given the fact that she's Israeli American and there's some ties there for her, right? But given what the function of the pact was, that is why we are making the connection there instead of through Israel. So why was James Talarico open to taking money from Texas Sands PAC that is funded by Miriam Adelson? That is because people in Texas that are for legalizing gambling and bringing casinos are thinking about it from the financial lens. They're thinking about it as something that would bring money into the state. Primarily, one, because it is already happening. Gambling is already happening in Texas. So the thought is that it would regulate what is currently happening. And also, two, the money that is being taken out of state, going to other states where it is legal, like Oklahoma, for instance, that money would be kept into Texas, which could then fund things here in Texas. So this is directly from his team in the Texas Tribune. It says, Talarico said that he accepted those donations as a state lawmaker because he supported the causes of the group that contributed to him, including legalizing gambling, opposing private school vouchers, and fully funding public schools. For what it's worth, he also received donations from Charles Butt, who's a billionaire that is the chairman of HEB, in order to oppose private school vouchers as well. So Talarico's team has said explicitly that he has backed the legalization of casino gambling his entire career because it would bring good jobs and additional tax revenue to the state. So that is their reasoning behind it. So the information I'm about to share is in this Politico article. I just can't screenshot because I ran out of free reads of it, but I took notes, so don't worry. So before we go into what is in this article, I'm sharing with you, I'm going to be framing this information with context, okay? So I'm being fully transparent here so you're aware. I'm framing this with context because I think it is going to be really important to have this understanding that I'm about to share in order to properly see the full picture of what is in this article. The reason why we typically care about PACs and donors is because of the money that they bring to the table that can influence the decision-making of politicians. A lot of people do not want donors and PACs to influence the decision making of politicians because they want the decisions and their votes to be based off of what the people and the voters, like constituents, want, and not what, people that are donating, like the billionaires and business people and all that, not based off of what they particularly want, just because they have more money. That is typically the driving force behind why people care a lot about PACs and stuff like that. There are two separate ways I've personally seen politicians interact with receiving donations from like PACs and stuff like that. It is one, receiving donations and it changing their decision making on what they are going to vote for or what they prioritize or push through. And then there are situations where a politician already holds the beliefs or already plans on voting in a particular way, and then they just have financial backers to support their efforts in supporting that initiative, legislation, whatever. With that in mind, in this article, it notes how James, the year before receiving the actual money from Texas Sands PAC, voted in support of legislation that would legalize casino gambling in Texas. So you have that context, right? So going into this PAC funding in particular, this is what he and his team responded. They said he pushed for campaign finance reform, but, quote, he will not unilaterally disarm and let Texas Republicans play by different rules, unquote, until the law changes. They then go on to say that Representative Talarico believes our campaign finance system is deeply broken. That's why he filed legislation to cap campaign contribution limits in the state of Texas, which the article then mentions how Texas does not have any donation limitations for state legislative candidates, and how Talarico introduced a bill earlier this year that would cap state campaign contributions at $10,000. So there's the information. Hopefully it's helpful. Do with it what you will. Oh, and as far as receipts are concerned, the sources used in this article are this Politico article, this Texas Monthly article, this Texas Tribune article, and my brain, because I live here and I have lived experience and stuff. So these are the main sources, but let me know if you have any other questions.